Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics. I have Shaun with us today, and we are at the Florida Aquarium. This is an awesome place. Tell us a little bit about it.
Hey guys, my name is Shaun Garner, senior biologist here at the Florida Aquarium, and we're in the wetlands right now. It's a huge open aviary full of birds, reptiles, fish, and live plants that's been growing here for over 25 years. So we just did a walkthrough, and I hope you guys had fun and saw something really cool. I know we have a lot of cool animals here, and it's pretty exciting, so I hope you guys have a good time.
So I'm going to be showing you the Florida Aquarium. It is a really cool place. We were very lucky in that we got to get here before the aquarium actually opened to do some filming. And a big thank you to Shaun and Meghan Garner for allowing us to come in and do this filming. Can't wait to show you what we saw. Also, a big thank you to Shawn Hale from Fritz Aquatics for bringing the Florida Aquarium and Primetime Aquatics together. So this is the wetlands area. There is a lot to see here. This is a very large facility, and I will show you some of the footage that we got here in a moment. But they had some rather large tanks with some cool native fish from the United States. And you know, some of these things like the bluegills and the pumpkin seeds, they are so much cooler when you have real light as opposed to just aquarium lights when you have sunlight. This was a molly tank that I thought was very interesting as well. They also had, in addition to fish, they had these guys here, some alligators. They had both relatively large ones, and then they had some baby ones, which I'll show you in a second, which I thought was kind of neat. They also had a number of birds and ducks in the wetlands facility, which I thought was pretty interesting. Around where I live, you don't get to see ducks this color, so it's kind of cool to see it. Mangrove forest area was actually really awesome as well. A lot of large fish. Just really liked the way they did the displays here. And as we travel inside, they have a number of things that I really haven't seen before, like the shrimp fish. What was really interesting is we got a chance to watch some of the fish eat while we were there because it was their morning feeding time. So that's something that maybe you don't normally get to see when you are going to the aquarium, but it was really interesting to watch these guys eat. I don't keep saltwater tanks, never have, so I'm not really a good person to know what some of the fish are that we're going to be seeing throughout this video. But I do know one thing, and that one thing is I really like seahorses, and I think if I were ever starting a saltwater tank, seahorses would probably be something that I would consider. These guys were rather large and can easily approach a foot, and so these were some of the larger seahorses that they had on display. And then these were some of the smallest they had on display, and they top out at around an inch or two. They were absolutely tiny, and you really had to get up close to the tank to really appreciate them. I thought they were awesome little creatures. These guys here, the Spiny lumpsucker, these were really interesting little fish that were having a great time eating breakfast. Shaun was mentioning that they have a modified pectoral fin that is actually almost used as a suction cup so they can attach to smoother rocks, smoother surfaces, and that can allow them to stay in place even in relatively high currents. There were so many cool things to see at the Florida Aquarium, but my favorite was probably all the jellyfish tanks. They had a number of species there. I love watching them swim. I find them incredibly relaxing. thought it would be cool just to take a minute or two, watch these guys, and then we'll get back to looking at the rest of the tanks. This is another one of those display aquariums I really spent some time in front of. I love looking at the lobster. In the freshwater world, of course, we've got the very small shrimp, and then we've got the crayfish, and they show a nice amount of color, but these guys were really something. It's another one of those things where if I had a saltwater tank, I would have to consider something like this. Of course, I'd need a rather large enclosure, but they were so interesting to watch and so much color. These garden eels are very interesting as well. They kind of burrow themselves and then they stick their heads out, and they just always look like they're searching for something. Really cool display.
We have a team of 4 technicians that do all of our water quality testing every day. Every exhibit is ran complete chems. At least once a week, if not more. When we're cycling systems, we run the exhibits every day. If we have any issues, we just ask for the system to be ran, whatever we want, ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, coral systems get, calcium, alkalinity. Sometimes we'll do magnesium, strontium. So we keep that forever. We look at our trends. These are all the samples that we have right now that we're running today. And then we have a nice Hawk spectrophotometer in the back that runs all the ammonia, nitrite, nitrate. So, yeah.
The Stingray display was also a really cool thing to see. I just showed you a little part of it. If you wanted to see it in real life, it is a much larger enclosure. Also had a really interesting children's art gallery, which I thought was cool. There was some really nice stuff that people did that were hanging on these walls.
One exhibit we call Sea Glass, and we had a local artist blow all this glass for us, and we just kind of said, create a coral reef if you can, and she designed all this glass, and we display it. We display it with monos that
that's cool.
are just great fish. So with most of my fish, I actually have them come to me in the morning because we have to do visual checks on all of our animals every morning and night. So if I can get them all with me, I'll look at their eyes, their mouth, their gills, make sure they're healthy for the day. If there's any issues, I call my vet staff and they'll come and look and take care of them. These scapes, oh my gosh, people love these. I love them too. I was a little iffy on them, but man, they are such a personable fish.
They really are.
And it's fun to feed them. I'll feed them clam, whole-shelled clam, and let them kind of break that open over time. If I see them start nibbling at the driftwood, I know it's time they need to chew on some clam or some hard shrimp. We first had cardinal fish in here until we moved them to the airport, but we kind of represent it like seagrasses, but we had the idea of just these black, white, and clear like seagrasses coming up. Right now we're displaying shrimp. It's pretty amazing. People love shrimp. So we have brown shrimp and ghost shrimp in here at the moment. But it kind of makes a really unique, like, artistic view.
Let's start getting into some of these larger displays, some of which can be up to 500,000 gallons. That would be a pretty cool sized tank to have in a home.
modeled after the Florida Keys. So you'll see a lot of the species that you find in Florida. We do have some Pacific species, but we try to keep things native to Florida because even if you visit, you're not necessarily going to see all of these animals when you come to Florida. So.
Yeah, this is a 500,000 gallon exhibit. We kind of have it divided into two sections. We call this the shallow side. It's about 15 feet deep. We keep all of our smaller species reef fish on this side, and then we'll walk over to the deep side that's almost 30 feet deep, and that's where we have some of our larger fish. We reproduce neon gobies, and this exhibit has probably close to 500 neon gobies swimming around. And they'll usually clean around here, but I'm not seeing any. They clean the eel quite a bit, and other fish will come in for cleaning.
So shallow side and deep side. The left side is where you'll see our sand tiger shark, nurse shark, as well as bigger fish, and our green sea turtle flip.
These and jawfish are like the engineers of the ocean. They have like a really developed mouth that can build their homes and structures. So these guys, I mean, they'll max out at about 2 feet in length, and they'll build a home inside sand that they can get in about half of a second if there's a predator around. So they're always moving these mounds and building their shelters. They'll have about 1,000 babies, and in an instant, those babies will go back in the hole if there's a predator around. It's amazing.
And these are lionfish, which are actually an invasive species in Florida, and they are a growing problem. This was such an interesting fish to watch. You see they have a mouthful of eggs right now, and there are a lot of little tiny babies in there. Would have loved to have seen what that was going to look like when they all hatch. This was a really awesome tank. It must have been at least 15, 20 feet long. And what they do here, Shaun was mentioning that they actually breed coral and they send it out to other zoos and aquariums. It was just a really pretty tank to look at.
So that's the coral that's getting ready, and we'll ship that out to other zoos. We do a lot of coral, mostly Caribbean coral, but we have an off-site facility that we grow all of our coral. And then we'll go, summertime we'll usually spawn the coral and start raising it.
They also had an area which was kind of like a touch tank for jellyfish, which I thought was pretty interesting. Had never done that before. It was definitely different.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us. I know we got to come in here a little bit early where there wasn't a lot of people around to give you the best experience possible. Thank you for everything you do here. Hope you enjoy the video. Check out the Florida Aquarium. It's well worth it. If you get a chance to stop by, we're in the Wetlands now. There are so many awesome displays. Definitely worth the day. Set aside a day because you're going to want to, and it's going to be great. Thanks again for being here. Really appreciate it. we'll see you in the next one.